Today we're going to go over the frog muscles, and we'll start with the muscles on the ventral side, on the belly side. The first muscle is called the mylohyoid, and that's going to go across the chin. Next muscle is the deltoid. So deltoid is the shoulder muscle. Okay, so if you just kind of turn your frog, you're going to see that the shoulder muscle is just going right across here. Okay? Next muscle is pectoralis. So pectoral means chest. So the frog will have two pectoral muscles across the front. So if you kind of look at it, it looks like it's separating there. All right, there's one, there's two. It's going to go across. And then we have a pectoral muscle going down the side. You might be able to see the lines going vertical. You see that on both sides. All right. And the next muscle is called the external obliques. So that's the side muscles. All right here, both sides. And the next muscle is the rectus abdominis, so abdomen. So that tells you where you are. So the rectus abdominis, I like to think of it as a 6-pack. This looks like it has an 8-pack, but all right. We have 1, 2, 3. You can kind of see a cut on this side, so it's hard to see that. But the rectus abdominis is on the abdomen. All right. There is a line going down the middle of the abdomen called the linea alba. So we'll actually see that in another video with blood vessels. All right, let's take a look at the thigh muscles. All right. The first one I like to point out is the gracilis minor. It's a very thin muscle that I will actually pull apart, pull away, and kind of pin it on the practical. Okay. Next, we have the gracilis major. So just think about the word minor sounds small, gracilis major sounds bigger, so it's a thicker one. It's above the gracilis minor. All right, the next one is a triangular muscle called the adductor magnus. All right, adduction is just when the thigh comes towards the midline of the body. All right, so adductor magnus is a triangular muscle. Now you should be able to find these muscles on both sides of the thigh. All right, gracilis minor, gracilis major, adductor magnus. All right. The next one, I like this muscle. It's called the sartorius. It's a really thin, skinny muscle. All right. That's partly covering the adductor magnus. And on the practical, I would put a probe underneath it and ask you, what is the name of the muscle that the probe is under? Labeled A. Okay. All right. The next muscle, going out to the side, is called the adductor longus. It's a really big thigh muscle, a really thick muscle. All right. Okay, so that's the thigh muscles. Let's take a look at the leg muscles. The first one you definitely can see very easily is the calf muscle. All right, so I could say, what's another name for the calf muscle? And that's called the gastrocnemius. All right. Right next to the gastrocnemius is a thinner muscle called the tibialis posterior. Okay, tibia is the name of the shin bone. Posterior means in the back of it. Okay. Now, tibialis anterior, you're going to have to use your dissecting tools and get rid of some connective tissue, but tibialis anterior kind of is shaped like a letter A. All right, you can kind of see the separation there. So anterior means in front of, so we're in front of the tibia, which is the shin bone. The Achilles tendon is attached to the gastrocnemius. Right there. All right, and then a muscle in the arm. I could just say, name a muscle in the arm. Okay, so not the forearm, but the arm is back here. So that is the anconeus. And one more muscle, it's a deep muscle. It's called the semitendinosus. It's between the adductor magnus and gracilis major. All right, so we spread that apart. This is called the semitendinosus. So those are the ventral muscles. So let's take a look at the dorsal side, which is the back. Flip that over. All right, we're going to start by its head. All right. And actually by its shoulder blades. The shoulder blade bone is called the scapula. So the muscle is called the dorsalis scapulae. So dorsal means the back. the scapula for shoulder blade. The next one is the latissimus dorsi. So remember dorsi, dorsal side is the back. Okay, here I'm going to put my probe underneath it and kind of move it back and forth. That's the latissimus dorsi. You can see it on the other side. And try to work your probe underneath it. Okay, that's what I would do. Just like the sartorius on the other side, I would put my probe underneath it and ask, what is the name of the muscle that the probe is underneath? And labeled A. Okay, so latissimus dorsi is right there. Let's take a look at the forearm. There's a couple muscles in the forearm. Okay, might be able to see it better on this side. There we go. We have the extensor carpi ulnaris and the extensor carpi radialis. All right. Extensor tells you what the muscle is doing. It's extending. Carpi is for carpal or wrist. And ulnaris and radialis is talking about bones, the ulna bone and the radial bone. All right. So on the practical, most likely I would say name a muscle near the wrist area. Okay, so you could say extensor carpi radialis or extensor carpi ulnaris. All right. The next muscle I really like. It sounds pretty cool to say. All right, but it's in the back region. It's in the shape of a tulip, so that's what I would probably say on the practical. And this is called the coccygeal iliacus. Let me just kind of do some separation a little bit. There it is. Okay, so it makes like a tulip. All right. Coccygeal iliacus. So coccyx is the tailbone. All right, iliacus is the hip, the iliac region. Okay. On either side of that tulip muscle, on either side of the coccygeal iliacus muscle is called the gluteal muscle. Very, very small muscle. Okay, the gluteus. Now, let's take a look at the thigh muscles. So what we're going to be looking at here is we're going to look for the capital M. This is called the triceps femoris. So femoral means in the thigh region for the thigh bone called femur. All right, so there's your triceps femoris. All right, so let's just review really quick. This little skinny muscle is called the gracilis minor. The next one, the bigger one, is not the gracilis major. This is called the semimembranosus. Semimembranosus. Okay, we're on the dorsal side this time. Okay. All right, let's go down here. Just a review. We know the calf muscle is called the gastrocnemius. All right. And a thicker muscle here is called the peroneus. All right, the peroneus. Going back up into the back region, we have longissimus dorsi, and it's a muscle that goes basically in longitudinal axis. It's really thin. So here is, you can kind of see the separation here. There it is. All right. So they're longissimus dorsi, both sides, right here. Okay. It's just below the latissimus dorsi. So latissimus dorsi is kind of going horizontal, and longissimus dorsi is going vertical. Iliolumbar is basically between that muscle and the coccygeal iliacus. It's a very thin muscle right here. Okay. Two deep muscles. The last two muscles are deep in the thigh. The first one is called the iliacus internus. It's deep to the triceps femoris. It's a triangular deep muscle. It's extremely hard to find, so I'm not technically going to be asking you to identify it on the frog. The question will say something like, name a deep thigh muscle. So you actually have three choices. You have the iliacus internus. We have the next one is called the biceps femoris. That is going to be above the semimembranosus. Okay, so there's your biceps femoris. And the other deep muscle you had on the ventral side was called the semitendinosus. All right, so those are the muscles of the frog.